going to be talking about my observations that I have completed this semester. The first one is kindergarten in Miss Susan Turner's class at Mayflower Elementary in Mayflower, Arkansas. The second one is first grade in Miss Hoffman's class at Crystal Hill Elementary in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The third one is Miss Slayton's second grade resource class at Crystal Hill Elementary. The fourth one is Miss Palladino's third grade gifted and talented class. The fifth one is Miss Cox's fourth grade class at Mayflower Elementary. And the sixth one is Miss Standridge's fifth grade self-contained class at Mayflower Middle School. The seventh observation is Miss Librand's sixth grade class at Mayflower Middle School. And last but not least, the inclusive site, Miss Scott's fifth and sixth grade class at North Little Rock Montessori. I got up early in the morning to drive 30 minutes to Mayflower Elementary. When I got there about 8 o'clock, the secretary in the office was down to earth and really nice to help me get to where I needed to go. My first stop was Miss Turner's kindergarten class. When I walked in, she knew exactly why I was there. She and the whole class were so welcoming and inviting. The children were curious as to why I was there and asked a lot of questions. It was kind of cute. Once I got settled in my seat, Miss Turner began the lesson. They were learning about Veterans Day and what it meant. So, she brought out a giant picture book called Hero Dad by Melinda Hardin. Before she began reading, she asked the children if they knew what an author was and what they did. I was surprised because these children at 5 and 6 years old knew the answer to that question. Mrs. Turner would read a few pages and then stop to ask questions to make sure that the students were on task and paying attention. After the story, the class moves on to their next activity. Each day, the students rotate names to see who is going to be the class leader. The leader stands at the front of the classroom with a pointer and points to each letter or number they are saying as a group. The leader also runs over to the window and checks the weather for the day. I really liked how Miss Turner did this with the students because it gets them involved and helps them stay on task. My glow for this class is that they learned about what a veteran is. I think it is really important for them to understand that as a U.S. citizen. My grow for this class is that I didn't like how she disciplined the children because she would have them go stand behind the class and stand with their arms out horizontally until she told them to go back to their seats. My next observation I'm going to talk about is Miss Hoffman's first grade class at Crystal Hill Elementary. When I walked in, the environment was bright and colorful. The students had just come back inside from recess. Once she got them settled down, she told them to get out their notebooks and begin practicing on writing their names and their letters. Once they were finished with that, she passed out a worksheet that they had to color each letter with specific colors. If they got done with that, then they could read a book. Miss Hoffman was telling me about this technique that she uses called whole brain teaching. It's where she says a phrase to get their attention, and it helps them retain information by rhyming. For example, one that she used was do it nice or do it twice, meaning that if their work was sloppy, then she would have them redo it. I really liked that the entire school used a program called Dojo. It's an app that parents can download on their smartphones, and if their child misbehaves or is doing well on their assignment, a teacher can add or take away points, and the parent gets a notification on their phone right away. Ms. Hoffman says that she doesn't use this all the time. However, She does use a clipboard that she carries around the day with her, and if a child misbehaves, she puts a tally mark by their name, and it lets them know that they were in trouble. Each tally mark has a different meaning. The first one is like a verbal warning. The second one, I don't remember. The third one, they go to timeout, and like for the fourth one, they get a marked off dojo point. So it's really important for them to pay attention and behave. And I really liked how after their lunch and recess, then they could start over for the afternoon. That way that they don't keep adding tally marks over the day. It's kind of like a refresher. My glow for this class was the dojo program. I really liked it way better than the old-fashioned color system. It's very modern. I did not have a grow for this class. My next one I'm going to talk about is Miss Slayton's Resource Special Education class at Crystal Hill Elementary. When I walked in the class, it was very quiet and the students were working independently. The class was decorated with lots of educational and encouraging posters. Talking with Miss Slayton, she told me that she only sees the students 2 to 3 times a week, depending on their IEP plan. They are allowed to go in there for a certain amount of minutes per week. For this year, she was telling me that they had to hire a co-teacher because they had so many students in the resource program. Each teacher is only allowed up to 25 students, but this year they had almost 30. However, they can only have about 10 students in the class at one time. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The students can go and work on their modified tests and assignments that they have from their regular teacher. When they are finished, they can go back to their regular classrooms. If they don't have any assignments while they're in there, they can get on the computer and get on what they call MindPlay. MindPlay is a program that the students can work on their math, reading, or spelling skills. It tracks their progress, and if they did good on an assignment, they can print out a certificate. Most of the students that were in there probably had ADHD or some other type of focusing disability. There was one student, however, that had a hearing and vision impairment, and I remember reading about that in the textbook, so it was really interesting to see that like in action. He wore special glasses to help him see, and he had a headband that he would wear that had a device that would sit behind his ears and help him improve his hearing. Mrs. Stateman was telling me about the long process that it takes for a student to even get into the resource. She said it takes at least 3 to 6 months with all the testing that they have to do, which is ridiculous. My glow for this class was that the students could come and work in a quiet environment and get the extra help that they need. And my grow was that I wish they had a better and faster way of determining if a student needs to be in there, because there were probably lots more students that needed to be in there, but yet they had no idea about them because it takes so long. My next observation was Miss Palladino's Gifted and Talented 3rd grade class at Crystal Hill Elementary. Gifted and Talented program is for children who excel in certain subjects at school. In this class, they are all challenged with their talents in other areas. They usually have a higher IQ score. This class only meets once per week for only an hour. To get into the program, it takes a lot of testing from the student. They test their academic skills and their emotional skills. I don't remember the names of the tests, but she showed me some of the tests that they actually use. And so it was really interesting to see that. My glow is that the students really shined through while I was in there, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. My grow is that I wish it didn't have to cut time out of their regular class. I wish it was kind of like combined in with their regular class. My fifth observation I did was Ms. Cox's 4th grade class. When I walked in, students were working on a science project. By looking at them, I could tell that they were studying landforms and how they're made and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty neat. Once they finished this assignment, they moved on to their math lesson, and it was really cool to see because Ms. Cox pulled up a video on the smartboard, and the students watched the example on how to do the problem, and then the students would copy it. And I thought it looked really familiar because it is what I had learned previously in my Math for Teachers class, so I kind of had like an aha moment, so that was pretty cool. While the students worked on their problems, Ms. Cox would set a timer, and once the timer went off, they had to move on to the next thing. My glow was that it was really good to know that what I was learning for my degree is what they actually teach the students in the classroom. And I did not have a grow for this class. My sixth observation was self-contained 5th grade class in Miss Standridge's at Mayflower Middle School. When I walked in, it was very quiet and kind of awkward. There were only a handful of students and 3 teachers in there. I noticed that the students' disabilities ranged from mental to physical. There's one student that kept blurting out random comments about anything she could think of. She was 6th grade, probably on a reading level of a 1st grader. There was another student in there who was nonverbal and in a wheelchair, and they had to hand feed her and change her. Instead of doing a lesson as a whole class, they have individual, what she called mini lessons, with each student one-on-one. The students can work at their own pace, and no 2 students were on the same learning level. My glow is that my heart really goes out to these teachers who deal with these students every single day, because it takes a lot of patience and training to even deal with these types of kids. My grow is that I hate that these students are so isolated in this one classroom all day. I don't really think that it helps with their social skills at all. My 7th observation is with Miss Librand's 6th grade class at Mayflower Middle School. When I walked in, it was kind of dark, and she had the projector on the smartboard. On the screen, I saw the word Kahoot, and I was thinking, what in the world is this? And Kahoot is a program that teachers can use to make up trivia questions and answers. Once they're in the classroom, the students can log on and type in the classroom code. Then they go through the questions, and it has each question has a limit of about 10 to 15 seconds, and they have to answer it before the time runs out, and they get so many points for each question. And it was really cool to see, because the students kind of made it a competition to see who could get in the top 5. It really makes it easier for them to remember something like for an upcoming test. It helps them study and understand the concept of the lesson more, and I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Some of their questions included grammar, and other questions included stuff about like the story that they were reading as a class. It was really fun to see the whole class get involved and just to have fun with it. My glow was that it's an easy study method for a test. And my grow is that they did this for the entire hour that I was in there. So I wish I could have gotten to see a real lesson. And last but not least is Miss Angela Scott's 5th and 6th grade class at North Little Rock Montessori. When I got there, they were all so nice. Right away, I asked why the 2 grades were in the same class. And she told me that it was like that school-wide, that they had 1st and 2nd grade in one class, 3rd and 4th grade in one class, and then 5th and 6th grade in one class. And I just thought it was kind of weird. But it was oddly different. There were only about 10 students in there, which made it easier for the teacher because it was a small school. Another thing that was really different that I noticed right away was that they called the teacher by her first name. And so I thought that was kind of odd because usually students call the teacher by their last name. And the students, she was telling me, the students don't follow Common Core guidelines like in a regular public school. They follow a different curriculum, which I thought was kind of interesting. The students' parents pay a fee that's included in their tuition to pay for school supplies for the whole year. I really liked this idea because it could save money in the long run for the parents. Overall, I really liked the welcoming environment of the teachers and all the staff, and of course the students. It was really a different experience for me. My glow was that there's no Common Core curriculum, and my grow was that I wish they would split the students by each grade level. I think that would make it a lot easier for the teachers. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my video.